Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Conquer the Clutter podcast for August the 27th. Poor us. Summer is fleeing, to be followed by, if you're in Canada anyway, a lovely multicolored fall. And then there's winter. So the best and the worst never lasts forever. Just remember that. So I want to start off today with assuring people, all right, that you actually can improve your mental health, right? The question is, are you ready to take the next step? And my little system here has just fouled up. Give me a second. Good. Okay. How do you do it? How do you take the next step? Well, in the same way as you walk forward in everyday life, you put one foot in front of the other, all right? One foot in front of the other at the pace you can maintain. That moves you forward, still moves you forward, but leaves you feeling safe and adequately, not perfectly, but adequately resourced. So we're going to look at one of my favorite CBT resources today. I like it because A, it answers all the questions, and B, it's really very mobile and very easy to use. Right. So it will represent, for today anyway, one of the easiest resources available to you. And you can download it. I can screen share with you. Well, I will be screen sharing with you. And I think you can copy that from your screen or save it. Try it anyway. If that doesn't work, we'll find another way to put it up on the website or to circulate it according to the distribution list for the podcast. All right. So having the resource is only the first step, right? Then you have to practice adding, not just practice using, but practice going to it first and adding it to your daily toolkit. All right. Um, when you do that incrementally, it's not an immediate panacea. It is a resource, it is a tool, it is successful. However, it needs to be practiced. All right. And the more you practice it on little things, the more you will incrementally be able to use it to work for you. All right. So let's start by managing expectations. Remember that no matter what the problem is, we have to start with keeping our own personal expectations realistic. And sometimes our expectations need to be different from our need. We can need things immensely. That doesn't mean that the best resource, if we haven't accessed it, if we haven't used it on minor issues, so we kind of get the hang of it, we know how to use it uniquely for ourselves. All right. That resource will not be adequately available to you. So we need to manage our expectations so that we're not setting ourselves up for being disappointed. All right. So give me a second. I'm going to try to um, download this. Hold on a sec. Just, right. Now, bubbles. Where are the bubbles? Hmm. Hold on, people. I have it here somewhere. Yeah, there we are. So this is going to get downloaded to my desktop, I guess. Save as to this PC. Browse. I didn't have Half here to help me, so. All right. Now I think I have it. This is the one I want, though. All right, let's see how successful that is. All right. Now where are bubbles? There you are. Come on, open up. Open. Okay, we're going to get the wrong one of these, but I am going to screen share. And I want to bring it down here. Okay, move here out of your way. Open it up. Why is that not opening up? There we are. All right. Now I want to go back to Zoom. Share. OneDrive. Can you people see the diagram?
No.
Not yet.
Not
yet.
yet. Okay. Okay. My Zoom screen share has disappeared. So, all right, put it down. Well, this is a disaster. All right. Okay, I think what I'm going to do, I have the bubbles here, but I can't get them up to you. And I don't know where my screen share thing is. Okay, there's Zoom. All right. I'm going to dictate this for you. Okay, hold on, maybe that'll work. There we are. Got it. Share. You see,
getting there. You're getting there.
Hey, slow and Shirley. Where is Shirley? I could use her help. Bubbles, 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 bubbles. CBT yourself. There you go. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yay!
Yay.
We may not be the most technical person in the world, but it is manageable. All right. So I had a little spot of anxiety there. So this is sort of like I want this so to open up.
Where was it? Your anxiety.
Where you're in my throat. It was like, come on, Elaine, do it. There we go. I want to make this big. Of course, we've got to. Come on, people. Anybody know how to make this thing big? You gotta try that.
Usually top right, there'll be an option to, next to the X on the top right.
The X has disappeared. That's my problem.
Okay.
Okay, no, we don't want that. We had it. And what did you do on this day's podcast? We fiddled around with a diagram.
Click on view at the top,
Okay.
and then you're going to do normal view or full page view, hopefully,
Okay.
once you're back on your document.
View. Yeah.
Once you have your document open.
Yeah. Go back. There it is. Okay.
Okay, now at the top, there's on the top bar view.
I don't have a view.
It's like 6 over, 7 over, all the way over. Yep. Keep going. A few more.
Chat, share, pause, show meeting, more.
Where your arrow is, keep on, you're on layout.
There you go.
Go.
Yep, view. Yeah, you could do it that way too.
Where's view, people?
It's on your
The
top
top
bar.
line where there's file, home, insert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep on going right. You've got review, then you've got view.
Do I? I've got video here on mine. I've got a black bar at the top that, oh, I see. It moves.
Under that black bar.
Oh, well, hiding behind it.
Right there.
Okay. 100%. So there's 100%. Glory to God. Okay, we may have made this bigger than our screen. One page. Page width. One page. Okay. Page width. Maybe we don't want it 100%. So
Go down to the bottom of the documents, fiddle around until you get an arrow that's going straight up and down. And then pull it down. All the way to the bottom. Yeah, of the document.
yeah, I'm not getting.
Okay, you're almost there. Just need to pull it down so it covers the desktop.
Elaine,
Yeah.
what about double clicking the gray bar at the top of this square, this rectangle off to the
Okay.
side? Like, yeah, like maybe double clicking that might make it big. That's what my friend suggested. Or
Side.
maximize.
Okay, I'll do it again.
That maximize ought to do it.
Maximize. Okay, and then
There you go.
All right.
then I can do this. All right. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to read you the language over here in the far left. We did it together. Don't be too proud to ask for help. You can't be good at everything. Okay, you can be, but you know what? Life's too short. So we'll form a team, right?
Elaine, I'm noticing in the top right-hand corner now, you've got the double square thingy that makes it, again, fill the screen completely.
I've got the what?
In the top right-hand corner, you've got your X into the left of it. Yeah,
Oh, look what we did though.
that didn't work. Oops.
Okay.
Try double clicking the gray bar again.
Yeah, double click that.
Or was it right click?
Maximize. There we go. We're just going to make ourselves happy with that, okay? Okay, because we're now 20 minutes into the podcast and we have to end on time. Okay, so these are what I call the bubbles, the CBT bubbles, all right? And they are really, really helpful. So in any anxious situation or troubling, worrying, it doesn't even have to go as far as anxiety, there's going to be an event, all right? Now, I want this to be applicable. I don't want this just to be something that you watched one time on a podcast. I want you right now to take a second And on that paper and pen set that you have in front of you, I want you to put down the most recent event that caused you a little turmoil. Even if you don't live with rampant anxiety, it was mentally, probably physically as well, registered in your body, upsetting. And it wasn't easily resolved. Just find one thing this past week. Everybody pretty much have the idea in your head? Okay, I'm getting a lot of nods. All right. What's the first thing that happens? All right, and it isn't thoughts. On the way to formulating a thought, you get an immediate reaction, a little immediate reaction, right? It's not the whole 9 yards of anxiety. And at the same time, in order to digest that, you formulate a thought, okay? A first thought or grouping of thoughts. So, whatever that event was, now under it, with the bubble, in the shape of the bubbles, I want you to think, what do you remember your first thought was, other than, There was an event, you had a little bit of a physical reaction, wherever that registered, and you formulated a thought about that. Now, is there anybody here who had that disruption, worry, tiny little anxious moment, who had a positive thought? Anybody here? Normally, it's not a positive thought. Normally, it's a warning message of some kind or an observation of something that is not working, has gone wrong. And it's troubling, right? Okay. Now, at that point, it breaks off. Now it's gaining speed. It's gaining momentum. All right. Could you feel that after the thought? Because normally what happens is your body reacts, that initial sort of develops into a physical sensation. All right. Be aware of it. Where did you feel it? And when things don't go right, is that pretty much where you register? All is not well, as my mother used to say in Glockamoro. All right. So it's not sort of like recognition of the actuality of it necessarily, even. It's sort of like now it's kind of vague. It's a little bit defined. The event and the thought are starting now to encapsulate a bit. And you're registering that physical sensation. Right now, please write down, what was your physical sensation and where did it register? Now let's make that observation a little more useful. All right. It's not on the bubbles right now. We'll add a bit. And that is that physical sensation and where it first registered, sort of landed and registered and started to develop. Out of 10, from 1 to 10, rate 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. Rate how many times you believe that is where, when things are running amok or not going well, the disturbance registers for you. And it's different for different people. Some people get a sort of like a thickness, a throbbing in their head. Some people it's in their throat. Some people it's in their upper chest. Some people it's in their gut. All right. Some people get a headache or just even a feel the tension. Where is it for you? That's useful for you, because when you're aware of where your stress registers, that's your body's alert system. That's useful. It's not comfortable, but it's useful. And so anytime you have moving forward to be proactive, more proactive, anytime there's a registering in your unique spot, you want to stop and listen. Take a second or two. What's going on right now? What is the problem? What is happening in this moment or just happened that seems to be an issue? You can head things off at the pass. All right. You can invoke the strategies we're going to talk about for the next probably 2 weeks. All right. Right away, you pull them out of your toolkit and you use them. Now, yes, you're having a physical sensation. The other thing that happens, though, is as equally from the thought, there are feelings attached that kind of pair with the thought you have. And they are ramped up by the physical sensations. They're not the same thing. All right? So, an event, somewhat negative. I missed my bus. A thought, oh, going to be late for work. Boss is going to be down my throat. All right. Oh, I'm going to be late for the meeting. I have a physical sensation. Clench somewhere or somewhere else. And then all of that shifts over to feelings. I should have Ubered. I shouldn't have taken a chance. And you start to feel something. All right. What are you feeling as a result of this not best event this past week? What did you feel? It's already happened. What did you feel? Let's learn from experience and personal experience of yours. Now, the next thing that happens is that the power of the physical sensation, which can be disruptive, all right, it generally doesn't fuel something, that physical sensation. What it does is it gives you an extra thing to carry. It's like you've just added a boulder to your backpack. Your feelings are hugely influential in the behavior choice that you make, the actual action or inaction. That is a behavior choice as well. Avoidance. And as soon as you get to that choice, that break off and power and influence on what behavior choice you're going to make, you have just pretty much clinched the outcome. So, if that situation didn't end optimally this past week, let's see if we can learn from that and back it up a bit. You can't stop the physical sensations. There are involuntary reactions that your body's going to take. Your body is your friend. Your mind is your friend. They are trying to alert you to risk. All right. Now, they may ramp it up to it's World War III, that an overreaction, but it is trying to help you. All right. We want to ramp it down to what is consistent with the actual risk. And when you power it, superpower it by adding feelings onto that physical sensation, that's where I want you to write this down. All right, write this down. Now we're going to take, you see the sidebar over here off to the, as you're facing, should be off to the left. There are a series of questions. Now, the first few times you do it,
Could you read those questions? They're so tiny. It's really hard to see.
yeah, I'm just about to. I just wanted to let you know that keep a cheat sheet, sorry, with you, all right? And the questions are, that event goes back to the event. It's going to capture everything that has just happened up to physical sensations and feelings. You're going to put yourself on hold. Put yourself on pause. Put yourself on pause before you decide the behavioral outcome you're going to choose, and go to these questions. What was the problem? Define the problem. What was the problem? Right now, let's do it. That event that happened, it wasn't that positive. It wasn't what you wanted. So what about that made it a problem? Take a second and write it down. Second question, if it was a problem, how did it develop? What did you see or not see? What did you do or not do? What was happening that it ended up becoming the threat of a reality? How did it develop? Write it down. How did that event develop? What were the component parts? Be objective. When did it develop? If it became a noxious event in your week, it didn't happen in that instant. When did it develop? So another question that might be added there would be, what didn't I notice that the next time I would like to pay more attention to see if I can avoid this thing happening? How did that event get maintained? Because it cropped up, which meant it started somewhere, it developed a little, and then it got maintained by it now presenting itself to you in your day. How was it maintained? Did it actually became something you needed to deal with? It didn't just sort of dissipate itself. Okay? That event, what prevents it or what prevented it from being resolved? What were the challenges? Write it down. What were the challenges attached to that negative event that kept it alive long enough, active long enough, that it wasn't immediately resolved? Now, here's a biggie. What of my thoughts maintained it, allowed it to happen? What of my thoughts? If there's a problem for us, we are always a participant in it in some way. We are generally not just a spectator. We participate. So what of my thoughts, my ideas, my beliefs support that thing, that whatever it was, being a negative event. What part do I play? Anytime there is a conflict, there are at least two parties active in that negative experience. What of my thoughts, my ideas, my beliefs support this thing occurring and not immediately being resolved without me even having to deal with it? What part do I play? I always play. If you can't accept that you are a participant in some way, to some degree, in every event, doesn't mean you caused it, but you play a part. That's the part you can control. And quite often when we accept that responsibility, that reality, we can practically do anything. All right. We certainly can get ourselves out of a noxious event a whole lot faster and a whole lot cleaner. Now, we haven't chosen a behavior choice yet. We're not loaded for bear yet. Okay, that we're doomed to a behavior choice that may not work out that well. All right. Depends on the input we give it, right? So what reactions, our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, our ideas, I won't say feelings, take feelings out of that. Our thoughts, our ideas, our beliefs generate our reaction. So what reaction do I have made up of, by this time I have added feelings? What reactions do I have that support the problem or offer me an alternative to a behavior choice that will give me a better outcome? So when we choose the behavior, all right, there's only one path out of there. That's why it's really important to take a sidestep at the physical sensation, that rising physical sensation, and the feelings. No, don't let them run away with you. Put yourself on pause, take a step to the side. What part do I? So how did it develop? How is it being maintained? What prevents it from being resolved? And in that prevention, that lack of prevention, what part do I play? My values, my beliefs, my feelings, my ideas. That's where the resources and the strategies, being an option you now give yourself, can stop you from loading down increased, that hormonal bath we've talked about a lot, okay? That really feeds physical sensations, certainly just ramps up feelings. That moves down to powering up a behavior choice. We have a choice at that point. How we act according to whatever this event is. And once we choose the behavior that we're going to opt for, or we're going to allow to flood us out of control, we have just determined the outcome. And generally, if we did not participate in identifying what's causing, what's fueling, what's preventing resolution, what other options do I have? if we didn't go there, generally the outcome isn't going to be any better than the problem. We have a choice. And then what do we do? This event had possibilities. All right. Did we opt for hauling out strategies, hauling out the whatever to affect a change? Because if we didn't, we've got the behavior, we've got the outcome, and now one of the things that we almost always do, all right, that would be a really good thing, again, to put yourself on pause and not do automatically, is we assign a meaning to it. All right. And then you're locked and loaded, because it is almost never the event itself that harms us or threatens us. It is the meaning we apply to it. All right. So what meaning did you apply to whatever that negative event was? And did you have other options? And are there any residual burdens that you're carrying now as a result, positively or negatively? Because you have a choice. We have a choice. Whenever I get into a conflict with someone else or myself or whatever, all right, with events, with my environment, I make myself stop and I kind of compress that and I think, what do I know that I'm not using? What do I know that and if I don't know it, you just saw me with this thing. I don't even sign up to be good at everything. I have my bandwidth and I am excellent at that. And the rest of it, I assume the world and the universe, somebody's going to know more than I do, and I'm going to draw on them. Doesn't do anything to me. All right. Form a team. What do I know? Or who do I know who knows a lot more about it than I do? Because I don't want to pay the full negative price for this. And I have a choice. My choice is to get better information and better resources before I choose what my behavior will be, my behavior choice, and therefore the outcome. Even if it's something that I caused, all right, I can learn from it. I can learn that the next time I don't want to do that in that way. I want to learn from, I know more about it, I know better now, and I accept responsibility for, if I'm anxious, I know that there are certain things that are going to cause that hormonal bath. I need to tramp down the feelings. I need to be aware of them, but I need them, when a child is having a tantrum, like we sometimes do internally with ourselves, all right, you reassure the child, you don't give into the tantrum. You reassure. How do you reassure yourself? With better information, better skills, and better strategies to use those skills. That's your toolkit. All right. Okay, what I'd like to do now is I would like to open the floor. Has everybody seen this? And I'll find some way to circulate that. All right, because I don't think you can copy that from your screen. I'm not sure. One of those things I don't know. Okay. All right, so we're going to end that and don't save. Good. All right, people. There we go. Good. What do I want to do with this now? I have a very weird screen. All right. So why don't we open the floor? Dawn, can you tell me who puts their hand up? And let's talk a little bit about what use you can make of this. If you're willing, what the negative event or the challenging event was, and we can track it. Okay, I'm going to stop screen sharing. There we go. I reward myself for the smallest thing. That's okay. So we've got 7 chat messages. Dawn, has anybody put their hands up?
Not yet. I'm still waiting.
Okay. Oh, somebody
Okay,
did.
Liz.
Yeah.
Liz.
Hi there. I
Hi.
think a perfect example to use for this that would be helpful to me at least is the proverbial someone needs to come into the house to do something.
Okay.
That is a big fear for anyone who's got a hoarding issue.
Mhm.
And that can make you freeze up, feel paralyzed, feel like there's absolutely no way that I can have this important thing addressed because I can't let anyone in.
Okay, so part of that, Liz, is a reality, right? And that's a really good generalized problem for people. So the obvious would be you'd need to pretty much keep track of what is working and what is not working well. All right. So, because they're going to be in different areas of the house, correct? All right. So we've got our immediate solution, well, choice, and we've got our long-term choice. All right. The long-term choice is get whatever help you need in order to make your accommodation exist within the fire code of wherever you live. All right. So the first thing you'd want to do long term, because the long term requires more foresight, more planning. All right. And it might require more resources if you can't do the work yourself. So first thing you do is research, what does the fire code say? And whatever source, expert source, can give you that information, you start proactively making that the priority area for you to resolve. And I, again, go back to the book, Conquer the Clutter, use Elaine's scaling process so that the choices you're making are choices you can live with. All right. Okay. And maybe we'll do 1 or 2 podcasts on the scaling process somewhere down the line. All right. That would be helpful, I think, in a practical way. So that's number 1. You gradually start to reduce in the areas where you know you're going to need to give access. If you don't own your home, that may be an involuntary request. So if you own your own home, it's your responsibility to bring the person in. But if you don't own your own home, you rent or whatever, then somebody else has purview on your space, right? Okay. So find out the correct requirements and go back to any one of the podcasts that are still on the website. Look for one that speaks to safety. All right. And I probably covered the Ontario, my understanding and what I've been taught by fire inspectors that I've worked with about our local fire code, and your fire code is probably doesn't necessarily have to be identical, but it's probably in the same genre, okay? That's a long term. In the short term, you have two choices, really. And one is to either relocate items if they are not things that you can easily enough dispose of, relocate those somewhere. If they're combustible material, however, you can't relocate them to someplace that creates a higher risk. All right.
Right.
So that might actually sometimes be um, kind of a sideways gift. That urgency, all right, has helped many people do what they found difficult to do beforehand. Also, many people have told me that when it came right down to it, like, they had a hot water tank blow or something, they had an electrical, sparks coming out of a plug, um, that helped them really zero in on what is important and not important. All right. Because when there isn't, um, I won't say pressure, but when the importance isn't ramped up enough, we can get very complacent with, I'll get to it.
Mm.
But the thing about tomorrow is tomorrow never comes. All right. And so I would ask people to do an assessment of their environment today and mark areas, tag areas that are access routes, that when they look at the things, it's more about, "Oh, I just don't have the energy," than I literally don't know how to make a decision about you. All right. And then start the 15 minutes every day proactively. All right. For that day when 15 minutes isn't going to be enough. And really watch the safety corridor. Start with the safety corridor. Reduce the amount of combustible material. Doesn't mean you lose the information or you lose the thing. The thing about a lot of combustible material is it's generally paper or paper products, and you can scan that and put it on an external hard drive. All right. You don't have to lose it. You may just spend your time transforming it and then let the original go. All right. You've got it, and you've got it in a better format that it will retain securely. All right.
Right.
Paper is not going to. If this is important information and it's on paper, it is not on a secure base. Something's going to happen to it. All right. Does that help at all?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Anybody want to talk about a little bit about what the event was that was not the most positive? Everybody's looking at me. Nobody's putting their hand up. Kim. Hey, Kim.
There we go.
Okay.
I had somebody that had CPS come this week, unfortunately. So we are dealing with that situation. The child has actually left, 16 years old. So CPS just came in. Have to call that person back at 1 to find out what the situation is right now, but they were working on the basic list of the items that I found online for what CPS is going to look for. Food, exits, clean clothes, smells, animals taken care of, things like that. But it was extremely stressful for everybody involved.
Mhm.
And just trying to do the best we can. And I said something about, you can use the COVID excuse because she works in an elderly home and she was actually exposed to somebody with COVID. But I guess they came today and she wasn't prepared to give excuses. So,
That's a step forward though, Kim.
yep.
Confront what is and deal with it. And the other thing too about CPS, and I've been called in on a number of cases, is people, if you have children, there has to be enough space for their life to happen too. There has to be. All right. And it doesn't make it any easier, but allocating the child's right to make their space consistent with what they believe they need. All right. So long as they don't have a hoarding problem or they haven't learned it, a learned behavior, um, is fundamental to parenting. It isn't just a physical space. It's a space where lives have to happen. Your life has to happen. Their life has to happen. All right. And part of the reality of children is the social engagement as well, right? And not being able to have their friends over means that there is a high probability that they may not be engaging socially as well, making friends. And there is practically nothing that equals friendship in the life of a teenager or an older child. I've had many situations where the kids couldn't go to birthday parties. They couldn't accept an invitation to go to birthday parties, even when they were invited, because they couldn't reciprocate. And if that is your situation, for heaven's sakes, reach out to me, and in whatever way is possible, I will try to make the information at least, or if it's possible to form a team to help you resolve enough of that you and your children, because that's a lifelong legacy, all right, for both of you, that awful legacy doesn't have to happen.
I have a question for this person. This is actually the second time they've had CPS called. This situation was for another child that has already left the home.
How old?
First, that other one is living on his own now, the first case. This is the second case where CPS has been called in. This one is for a 16-year-old boy. Do you think there's any reason why she should just not admit that she has hoarding disorder? I mean,
No, absolutely not.
I don't think it's going
admit-
to hurt her case at all. I think if
Doesn't matter.
anything,
No, that's the wrong way around, Kim.
I
Yes,
don't know.
yes, admit you have hoarding disorder, because hoarding disorder is a disability.
That's what I keep telling her.
No, more important.
But I don't know if I'm right,
It's more important than that, though. It's a disability under the DSM-5, the Diagnostic Manual of Mental Health Disorders. It is a legitimate disability, all right? Now, not everyone who hoards has it to a disability degree, but a physician, a psychiatrist, whoever CPS has can authenticate that. All right. It can be authenticated from the degree and the length of time this has been an overwhelming situation. And the person has, by rights, under human rights legislation, all right, the right to reasonable accommodation. All right. Now, generally, that is most often interpreted as additional time and additional resources to help them do it, not to do it for them, but to help
Okay.
them do it. All right. And that might play out like this area has to be resolved. So area by area might be indicated that this has to be resolved. And so, but it doesn't have to be resolved like 110%. It has to look like this. These are the things we can't see because they represent an immediate or a long-term hazard. And then the requirements and recommendations would be for the next area and the next area and the next area. We're not talking about turning a hoarded environment into better homes and gardens. We're talking about a realistic
Yep.
reclaiming of the space for life to happen. All right. And that I would think, now politics can play into it, and I'm not just speaking from Canadian experience. I'm speaking pretty much internationally. There is some version of that, no matter where you are.
Okay.
The politics of the day, however, who knows what that does to it. But that is by law. All right. And so long as a country has human rights legislation, and I know this because I've been asked on 1 or 2 occasions to be a subject area expert for hoarding on human rights tribunals. So it doesn't get bigger than that. All right. And that was honored. The right to reasonable accommodation. But the operative word there is reasonable, and reasonable does not mean that this risk is allowed to exist forever. It means
Yep.
that you have the right to the time and resources necessary, not for someone else to do it for you, but to help you do it yourself, to reclaim incrementally. So she wants to claim, if it's true, and you'll know by the longevity of the situation. If this is a repeat situation and she's got out of control, out of management, comorbidities,
Yes.
complicating things, then a care plan needs to be set up as well. You know, the best of intentions never really changed very much. There has to be a plan and there has to be support.
Thank you. That's super helpful. And I just didn't want to give her the wrong advice because when I don't know, I just don't, I try not to say anything.
Yeah, no, you're better not to. You're better not to, but no, absolutely. And refer them to the Diagnostic Manual of Mental Health Disorders, version 5. And I'm sure CPS knows that. CPS will have a more practical application of what reasonable accommodation is. Perhaps the home at that point in time may exceed risk, a mental, physical, emotional risk for children. All right, it might. Then helping her reclaim the space. And, you know, it would be great if we had, you know, little teams sort of in areas. I remember with a family with 6 children, and the parents were wonderful parents, they really were, but they were keeping a big dark secret.
Yeah.
And one of the children accidentally called 911. Yeah, well, accidentally, who knows? That was a very fortuitous accident. And the police came to the door. Fire came to the door. And you know what? It was the firefighters on that house, that firehouse, that pitched in with me to clean up the house for the family. And yeah, at no cost.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing where help can come from.
6 of us fixed it the last time in a week before they actually came for the appointment. So we dove in and cleaned like crazy, and dumpster, I hired a dumpster. This time my daughter said, she's only 13, my daughter. She said, you can't drop everything to go help again. She's never going to change. She's got to reach out and get help and, you know, provide the resources to her again to get help. But you can't drop everything to do this again. And I thought, well, you know, my little 13-year-old is pretty wise. So she's going to go to her first meeting this week. And, you know, I'm just trying to navigate this in a way that will help her. So thank you for your advice.
Okay. Well, tell her we're thinking of her.
I will. Thank you. I wrote down all those notes. I'm going to give
Yeah.
that to her. So
Yeah. Yeah, and somebody could advocate for her as well. So long as she's standing there talking, not doing it for her, because people need to learn that they are able. The feelings that overwhelm them, the fear that overwhelms them is a feeling, it isn't a fact. All right. For all the things that even at your worst times that you have achieved, all right, that is also you. You are not defined by your failures. All right. You're defined by never give up. Reach out for help, reach out for good information, and never give up. And if you're moving forward at a crawl, you're still a success.
thank you. I appreciate it. And I hate to hog up so much time, but it's kind of an important situation. So I appreciate the time. Thank you.
It's a legacy thing too. It's a legacy thing. I have to run now. I have to go and help the wife of my 90-year-old. So wish them well, people. And I will see you next week. Take care.
Can you do it?